Good evening. China has surpassed Japan to be the world's second largest economy. This came after Japan's economic expansion slowed dramatically in the second quarter of the year. Japan's cabinet office says the economy was valued at US $1.29 trillion in the second quarter, less than China's US $1.34 trillion. Japan grew by just 0.1% between April and June, raising fears that the country could be heading back into recession. The Consumer Counsil says it found toxic and cancer-causing substance in some of the nail polish. 3 out of 4 most toxic products were made in South Korea. They have been named as Skin Food and B&C. The council couldn't tell where the fourth, called Valili, was made. A spokesman for the council, Huther, advised people to use nail polish only in well-ventilated places and to avoid contact with the skin. The Democratic Party says it's eyeing 70 seats in the next year's district council elections, 10 more than it currently has. Party's heavyweights are also being encouraged to run in the polls, leaving the door open for them to stand for the new functional constituency seats, LegCo being assigned for district councillors. A party vice chairman, Sin Chung-kai, says they were working well with the pan-Democrat allies on the internal candidate selection. As many as 20 people maybe have died in Nigeria after a runaway truck crashed into a dozen of vehicles and caught on fire. The brakes of the truck failed as it came down a slope, causing it to crash into a dozen of vehicles waiting at the police checkpoints on the expressway. Other vehicles also crashed into the inferno as the drivers panicked and lost control. An official from the Lagos Fighting Department says at least 20 passengers are on a Toyota Eurovan commercial minibus, which a runaway truck smacked into, may have been killed and dozens of other people were injured. In ensuring the chaos, some commuters abandoned their vehicles and ran off, causing further traffic congestion and lasting for several hours. Politicians have come out in support of farmers after 2 people were killed and several wounded in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. Police and angry farmers clash as the agricultural workers protest against the low compensation given to them for their lands, which have been taken to build a highway.
An infuriated mob torched 3 police vehicles, a state bus, several trucks, bulldozers, and machinery at the construction site, prompting frightened workers to flee. Police opened fire after the protesters attacked them with stones and set vehicles on fire in the city, where the government is spending $2 billion on a 6-lane highway connecting Taj Mahal, city of Agra, and the national capital of New Delhi. This is the latest string of violence incidents surrounding government's effort to acquire farmland for industry in India, where 2/3 of 1.2 billion population depends on agriculture.
A top Red Cross official has warned that the rebuilding of Pakistan after the worst flood in decades could take up to 5 years. The floods have affected 20 million people, killed up to 1,600 and left 2 million homeless. Popular anger is rising fast. Gettler says the international community must not measure the urgency of the disaster by the death toll, and that only a quarter of required emergency aid has arrived. Swollen by the torrential monsoon rain, major rivers have flooded Pakistan's mountain valleys and fertile plains, wiping out villages and destroying bridges and roads. An area roughly the size of Italy is affected, but only a quarter of the $459 million aid is needed in the initial relief has arrived, according to the United Nations, which has warned the second wave of death toll amongst 6 million people who still need food, shelter, water and medicine. Recapping our top stories now, China has surpassed Japan to become the world's second largest economy. This came after Japan's economic expansion slowed dramatically in the second quarter of the year. The Consumer Counsil says it found toxic and cancer-causing substance in some of the nail polish. A spokesman of the council, Huther, advised people to use nail polish only in well-ventilated places and avoid contact with the skin. And a top Red Cross official has warned that rebuilding of Pakistan after the worst floods in the decades could take up to 5 years. According to United Nations, they warned that the second wave of death will be coming among 6 million people who still need food, shelter, water and medicine. And finally tonight, racing teams have lined up for the annual bathtub regatta racing in the tongue of the Maat in Belgium. So let's take a look. And those are the stories from DHK News. I'm Ivan Leung. Pleasant viewing and good night.